The galaxy had been quiet for 3,000 years. In the great spirals of stars that stretched across endless black, entire civilizations had grown used to calm skies and gentle lives. The Federation of Worlds prided itself on harmony. Their ships were hospitals and research vessels, not war machines. Their disputes were settled in meditation chambers, not battlefields. Violence was a word from history books, something their children learned but never experienced. But peace, like glass, can shatter with a single crack. Dr. Ellis Chen leaned over the glowing console, her breath fogging the inside of her helmet. The lab on Concordia, the neutral heart of the Federation, was always too cold for her human bones. She rubbed her gloved hands together and leaned closer to the projection. Numbers, rhythms, patterns too deliberate to be natural. Her throat tightened. She had seen this once before, a signal hidden in static, buried in the noise of the void. "Not again," she whispered. The Federation technicians around her barely noticed. Zephyrians made of crystalline light hummed softly as they projected their calm thoughts into the room. Velter jellyfish floated in grav tanks, rippling with quiet patience. To them, the signal was exciting but safe. To Ellis, it was a storm on the horizon. The last time she had seen this kind of signal, it hadn't ended well. Centuries away in another arm of the galaxy, Captain Jake Morrison of the Iron Will ran his fingers along the tactical console. A Martian by birth, scars traced his hands like old maps. He didn't trust signals from empty space. He didn't trust anything that looked too clean, too perfect. The Federation called humans Deathworlders. The word had spread quickly after first contact, whispered with awe and fear. They meant it as a warning, but humans had worn it like armor, a title carved from blood and survival. Jake's instincts screamed now. He had survived raider ambushes, corporate wars, and colony blockades, and all those years told him one thing: signals meant traps, or opportunities, often both. Ellis Chen stared at the council chamber's towering ceiling. Hundreds of alien delegates floated, crawled, or rooted themselves in their places. The Grand Council buzzed with soft, overlapping telepathic chatter. No raised voices here, no fists slammed against tables, just calm ripples of thought. Ellis stood alone in her human body, too loud, too rough, too fragile, a stranger among gentle giants. "The signal," she said, her voice echoing more sharply than she intended. "It's not a mistake, it's human." 1,000 crystalline eyes turned toward her. "You must be wrong," said Ambassador Zale Lin of the Zephyrians, her voice smooth as glass sliding over ice. "No intelligent life could survive in that region of space, the radiation alone." Ellis shook her head. "We survived, we thrived, and if they sent this," she let the sentence hang in the air like a blade, "they're not here for peace councils." Murmurs pulsed through the chamber, gentle confusion, fear without teeth. Outside the chamber, in the cold steel barracks of the human embassy, Sergeant Amy Foster checked the charge on her rifle. Old habits. The Federation had asked her not to bring weapons into their sacred halls, but Amy had been born on Europa Station, where leaving your gun behind meant never seeing sunrise again. She was human through and through, cautious, scarred, alive. She glanced at Ellis as the scientist left the chamber, face pale. "They don't get it, do they?" Amy said. "No," Ellis whispered, "and they won't, not until it's too late." Concordia's skis were always calm, lit by soft auroras from the twin suns. But that night, as Ellis walked the glass bridges between towers, she couldn't shake the feeling of eyes on her. Human eyes, watching from the dark, waiting. The Federation was blind. They thought the galaxy was safe because their part of it was safe. They thought peace was natural, but Ellis knew better. Earth had been a crucible: storms, predators, starvation, war. Humanity had learned to survive where nothing wanted them to live, and now that survival instinct was drifting closer to the Federation's heart. She stopped on the bridge and looked up. A shimmer of light streaked across the stars. Too steady for a meteor, too fast for a Federation ship. Her pulse spiked. "They're here," she whispered. On the edge of the Concordian system, alarms bloomed across the defense grid. The Peacekeeper patrol ships moved sluggishly, like scholars roused from sleep. Their crystalline hulls reflected the twin suns, beautiful, fragile, unarmed. And then, out of the dark, the Iron Will arrived. A Deathworlder ship, black metal, scarred armor, weapons slung like coiled fists ready to strike. The Federation sensors flared red, power signatures off the charts, engines built for war, not for beauty. Every officer on the bridge of those patrol ships felt the same thought ripple through their minds. Monsters have come to paradise. Jake Morrison stood at the viewing pane, hands clasped behind his back. Contact in system, his navigator called out. Federation vessels, Amy Foster added, her eyes narrowed at the tactical feed. They're not moving like combat ships, no formation, no weapons lit. Jake's jaw tightened. That's the problem. Either they're too confident to show weapons or they don't have any. Amy looked up. Captain, what if they're not soldiers at all? Jake didn't answer. He already knew. The Federation hadn't seen war in millennia. They weren't ready for humanity. On Concordia, the council chamber erupted in panic as reports streamed in. A ship of war, cried Elder Driftkeeper of the Velter, his translucent body trembling. It's weapons, we have no defenses. Ambassador Zale Lin projected calming thoughts, but fear rippled anyway, spreading faster than words. Ellis Chen's stomach dropped. She knew that signature. She had read the reports from Earth. The Iron Will. Humanity hadn't come to ask permission. Humanity had come to survive. And survival never asked politely. In orbit, the Peacekeeper patrol ships tried to hail the Iron Will. Voices soft as lullabies filled the comms, broadcasting peace, welcome, harmony. Amy Foster's hands hovered over the weapon console. They're trying to get in our heads again, she snapped. Feels like neural intrusion. Jake knew it was just Federation telepathy, but his instincts screamed danger. He had lost too many soldiers to friendly signals that turned out to be traps. Shields up, he ordered. On the Federation bridge, Ambassador Zale Lin felt the human slam mental doors in her face. To her, it was rejection. To Jake, it was survival. To both, it was the first spark of fire. Ellis Chen burst back into the human embassy, breath ragged. They'll misinterpret everything, she gasped. Every signal, every scan, you have to stop them. Amy met her at the airlock, rifle in hand. Stop who? Ellis swallowed hard. Your people, my people, if we fire first. The building shook. A sound like thunder rolled through the alien city. Both women froze. Ellis whispered, oh no. From orbit, a human warning shot had just sliced across a Federation patrol ship's bow. To Jake Morrison, it was restraint. To the Federation, it was the first act of war. The beam had not struck the Federation ship. It had passed in front of the crystalline bow, a warning, a line in space that said, do not cross. But to a people who had forgotten war, there was no such thing as a warning shot. There were only lights in the sky and the echo of fear in their minds. On the peaceful dawn, Ambassador Zale Lin clutched the edge of the console. Her crystal body dimmed with shock. They fired at us, she whispered, her telepathic thoughts trembling. They truly fired. The Velter engineer Quill Massa trembled in his containment sphere, his translucent form pulsing. Their weapons, so much power, if they wished, they could shatter us. We must retreat, buzzed the insected diplomat buzzed, his antennae twitching. The collective mind behind him rippled with panic, a billion tiny voices suddenly aware that the universe was no longer safe. Zale Lin's voice broke like glass. But they are intelligent. Intelligent life does not choose violence. No one answered. Even the Thornling philosopher Groot Helm, whose people took centuries to form a thought, said only one word. Run. On the Iron Will, Amy Foster's hands hovered over the weapon console, fingers itching. They're scattering signals all over the spectrum, she reported. Could be scans, could be targeting, could be a distraction. Jake Morrison narrowed his eyes. He could feel the crew's tension buzzing like static in the air. One mistake, and this would turn from a warning into a massacre. Keep weapons hot, Jake ordered, but hold fire unless they make a move. Amy frowned. Sir, that warning shot scared the hell out of them. Their ship's shields are fluctuating like they don't even know how to respond. Then let's hope they learn fast, Jake muttered. In the council chamber of Concordia, panic had become a storm. The broadcast from the peaceful dawn lit the air with fear. Images of the human ship's weapons, the raw energy output, the precision of the shot, all displayed in shimmering holograms for every delegate to see. This is madness, cried Elder Driftkeeper, his voice a mournful hum. Never in 3,000 years has a vessel aimed fire upon another. They mean to destroy us, buzzed the Crick representatives, their collective mind chittering with terror. They will hunt us, they will burn us. Zale Lin's voice carried from the recording. Run. It was enough to send shivers through every heart in the chamber. Dr. Ellis Chen stood at the edge of the assembly, her fists clenched. "You're misreading it," she shouted above the waves of fear. "It wasn't an attack, it was restraint, a warning." Hundreds of alien eyes turned toward her. Ambassador Crystal Song of the Zephyrians tilted her luminous head. "A warning with weapons." "Yes," Ellis snapped. "On Earth, warnings keep people alive. It's how we test limits without starting slaughter." "Then you admit," hissed the Crick delegate, "that slaughter is their nature." Ellis's heart pounded. "No, survival is our nature, there's a difference." But no one listened. Fear was louder than reason. Back on the iron will, Jake Morrison felt the tension twisting tighter. "They're pulling back," Amy reported. "Engines spooling for FTL, looks like retreat." Jake exhaled slowly. "Good, let them go. Last thing I want is bodies on my conscience." The ship rumbled with the hum of weapons cycling down. Amy wasn't convinced. "They'll see this as weakness." Jake gave her a sharp look. "They'll see it as mercy. Sometimes you win by letting the other side breathe." Amy said nothing. She had seen mercy get people killed before. The peaceful Dawn jumped into hyperspace, fleeing like prey from a predator. But as their sensors recorded every detail of the human ship, they carried with them more than data. They carried terror. And terror spreads faster than light. For days, the Federation buzzed with whispers. Every system, every colony, every council replayed the images. A ship bristling with weapons, a beam of fire across the stars, a warning shot misunderstood as the opening of war. To the Zephyrians, it was blinding aggression. To the Velter, it was raw brutality. To the Crick, it was chaos in the hive. To the Thornlings, it was a shattering of patience. To Ellis Chen, it was a disaster. In the human quarters on Concordia, Ellis paced until her legs ached. Amy sat at the table, polishing her rifle, eyes never leaving the scientist. "You think they'll recover?" Amy asked at last. Ellis shook her head. "They've never seen violence, not in thousands of years. They don't even have the words for it anymore." Amy leaned back, expression hard. "Then they're children, and children need protecting." Ellis's eyes flashed. "Or teaching, don't reduce them to helpless. They've built something beautiful, we shouldn't break it." Amy snorted. "Sometimes you have to break before you grow." Ellis turned away. "That's exactly what I'm afraid of." The Federation Council convened in emergency session. The chamber glowed with uneasy light, shadows flickering across alien faces. Ambassador Zale Lin, still shaken from the encounter, spoke with trembling clarity. "They aimed fire upon us, deliberately. Their intent is beyond doubt. We must prepare." "Prepare for what?" asked Ancient Bark of the Thornlings, his voice deep and slow as roots shifting in soil. "For war," Zale whispered. The word struck the chamber like thunder. Many didn't even understand it. Some had to ask Ellis Chen to explain. War, the deliberate use of violence between civilizations. The word spread like poison, and with it, the galaxy's first taste of fear in millennia. On the Iron Will, Jake received the encrypted message from Earth. "Do not back down." The Colonial Alliance wanted strength, not compromise. To them, the Federation blockade around human space was already an act of war. The warning shot had been the first move in a chess game that humanity had no intention of losing. Jake read the orders, his gut twisting. He had seen too much blood to want more, but orders were orders. "Captain," Amy said quietly, watching him, "we can't show weakness now." Jake didn't answer, but in his silence she knew he agreed. Ellis Chen returned to her quarters that night, heart heavy. She had spent years trying to convince the Federation that humanity could be trusted. She had taught them about Earth's storms, its predators, its history of struggle. She had hidden the worst parts, softened the edges. Now all her work was ashes. She sat by the window, staring at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was watching, waiting, planning. And somewhere else, Federation minds were trembling, learning the taste of fear for the first time. Ellis whispered to herself, "Please, don't let this become what I think it will." But deep down, she knew the truth. The crack had already formed, and cracks only ever spread. On the neutral world of Concordia, the Federation Council prepared a vote. The proposal was simple: establish a monitoring zone around human space. To humans, it would look like a blockade. To the Federation, it was protection. Ellis tried to warn them. "You're cornering predators," she begged. "Do not cage humanity, they will see it as war." But the Council, blinded by fear, voted yes. And so, across the stars, fleets of gentle ships moved into position. They formed a circle around the human colonies, a shimmering wall of crystal, water, and light. A wall meant to contain Deathworlders. A wall that looked to human eyes like chains. Aboard the Iron Will, Jake Morrison received the transmission from the blockade. Ambassador Peaceful Mind of the Federation spoke in soothing tones. "For the safety of all, we ask that you remain within your designated systems. We wish only to observe, to understand, to ensure harmony." Jake's jaw clenched. He heard only one word. "Prison." Amy slammed her fist on the console. "Blockade, siege tactics, they're trying to starve us." Jake looked out at the shimmering wall of ships, beautiful, fragile, terrified. And in that moment, he knew what must come next. Not peace. Not compromise. Breaking the chains. The blockade shimmered like a necklace of light around human space. Hundreds of Federation vessels, their crystalline hulls glowing with gentle hues, floated in neat formation. To the Federation, it was a shield of safety. To humanity, it was a cage. And cages never held humans for long. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Iron Will, the blockade filling the main screen. He rubbed the scar along his jawline, an old habit when weighing impossible choices. "They think they're protecting themselves," said Dr. Ellis Chen, her voice sharp with urgency. She had been allowed aboard to plead with him one last time. "Don't answer violence with violence. Show them patience. Show them restraint." Jake turned his weathered eyes on her. "Doc, I fought pirates, corporations, raiders. You know what all of them had in common. They thought they could control us, put a chain around our necks, call it protection." He jabbed a finger toward the blockade. "That out there isn't protection, it's a siege." Ellis swallowed hard. "If you break it, you'll confirm their worst fears. You'll make war real again." Jake's voice was low, steady. "War was always real, Doc, they just forgot." In the Federation Council chamber, Ambassador Zale Lin glowed faintly as she addressed the assembly. "Humans are impulsive, but they will see reason," she projected, her crystalline body humming with hope. "The blockade is gentle containment. We must give them time to adapt." But Elder Driftkeeper of the Velter rippled uneasily. "Containment breeds desperation. They are not like us. Already reports say human colonies bristle with weapons if they feel cornered." Buzz of the Crick Collective buzzed in alarm. "The hive trembles with their presence. We taste chaos, violence. We must prepare for the storm." Ancient Bark, slow and patient, finally spoke. "Storms feed roots, but storms also break trees." The chamber fell silent. Fear crept like vines around every heart. Battle Group 7 assembled in the shadow of Saturn's rings. 12 human ships, lean and scarred, each commanded by veterans of wars the Federation had never imagined. Admiral Kate Sullivan strode across the deck of the flagship Resolute. Her eyes were steel, her voice sharp as a blade. "The Federation thinks they can cage us. They believe fear will keep us still." She swept her gaze across the assembled captains. "But we are children of Earth. We do not yield. We break chains." A roar of approval filled the comms. Captain Tony Martinez of the destroyer Lightning Strike grinned. "Been a while since we ran a wolf pack." Commander Lisa Park of the stealth cruiser Thunder Bay smirked. "Let's remind them how Deathworlders hunt." Kate nodded once. "Then it begins. Wolfpack formation, break the line." The blockade's edge hung silent and still. Federation ships glowed like lanterns in the dark. Then the Wolfpack struck. The Thunder Bay decloaked behind a Velter command ship, weapons blazing. Kinetic slugs tore through the vessel's translucent hull. It shattered like glass under a hammer. The lightning strike darted between two Zephyrian frigates, unleashing a storm of missiles. The ships, built for exploration, had no defenses. Their beautiful crystal towers exploded into dust. The Federation ships tried to regroup, minds rippling with panic across telepathic channels. But humans had learned long ago to jam signals, to turn order into chaos. The Crick hive mind sputtered under human interference, leaving their vessels adrift and blind. To the Federation, the attack was unthinkable. To humanity, it was survival. On Concordia, the council chamber erupted as live feeds, showed human ships tearing through the blockade. "They are destroying us," cried Zale Lin, her glow flickering with horror. Ellis Chen's stomach twisted. "They warned you," she whispered. "I told you they would never accept chains." Elder Driftkeeper trembled. "We have no army, no weapons. How do we answer this?" Ancient Bark spoke with sorrow. "We do not answer, we endure, or we fall." Buzz's voice cracked with fear. "The hive is breaking. Individual Krikar are acting alone. Madness spreads." The council, frozen for centuries in harmony, now drowned in terror. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Federation faced annihilation. On the iron will, Amy Foster's hands danced across the console, firing precise volleys. "Targets down," she said grimly, "but they're not fighting back, it's slaughter." Jake's jaw tightened. "Then aim to disable. Engines, sensors, weapons if they have them. We're not here to kill." Amy gave him a sharp look. "Tell that to the debris field." Jake's voice was low. "Mercy doesn't always look clean." The crew obeyed, firing with surgical precision. Federation ships cracked and spun, disabled but not destroyed. Still, the silence on the comms spoke volumes. The Federation had no language for this, no response, no defense. Jake felt the weight of it pressing on him. He didn't want to be a butcher, but if it came down to humans or them, he knew the choice had already been made. Ellis Chen raced through Concordia's glowing halls, her breath ragged. She had to reach the human command center, had to stop this before it consumed everything. As she turned a corner, she nearly collided with Ambassador Zale Lin. The Zephyrian's crystalline body flickered dimly, her telepathic voice trembling. "Your people bring fire," Zale whispered. "Why, we offered peace, we offered safety." Ellis's eyes burned with tears. "You offered chains. To humans, safety without freedom is death." Zale's glow dimmed further. "Then your people are mad." Ellis shook her head. "No, just forged in a harsher world than yours, a world that never gave them peace." She left the ambassador standing in silence, the weight of truth sinking like a stone in water. The battle raged for hours. By the time the human fleet withdrew, the blockade was shattered. Federation ships drifted crippled, their crews trembling in disbelief. Admiral Sullivan's voice crackled across the comms. "The line is broken. Let them remember, humanity bows to no cage." Jake Morrison stood at the viewport, staring at the wreckage. A garden of shattered crystal ships floated like corpses in the dark. His chest ached. This wasn't victory, it was proof. Proof that the Federation had never understood what it meant to live with death pressing against your throat. Amy stood beside him, silent, her rifle still slung at her shoulder. She didn't smile. There was no joy here, only survival. And survival always had a price. On Concordia, the council chamber sat in stunned silence. Delegates wept. Others trembled. For the first time, some even shouted, their harmony cracking under the weight of fear. Ellis Chen stood before them, her voice cutting through the chaos. "You've seen what humanity can do. You've seen how we fight, but you haven't seen why." Hundreds of alien eyes turned to her. "Earth was a crucible," Ellis said. "Storms, predators, famine. Our ancestors fought every day just to live another sunrise. Violence didn't shape us in spite of intelligence. It shaped us alongside it. We didn't choose to be this way. The universe chose for us." Zale Lin's crystalline form dimmed. "Then there can be no peace." Ellis shook her head. "There can, but not the way you know it. Peace for us isn't the absence of conflict. It's the balance of strength and compassion. We fight because we must. But we also heal, build, protect. If you want peace with humans, you must accept both sides." The chamber was silent. And then alarms blared. From the outer systems came the report. Federation colonies burning. Pirate fleets, long suppressed by the illusion of peace, now swarmed like vultures, emboldened by the chaos. The blockade had kept humanity out, but it had also left the Federation exposed. Ellis's blood ran cold as she read the transmission. Pirates, they're hitting unguarded worlds. The Federation can't defend them. Zale Lin's glow flickered with dread. "We have no weapons, no soldiers. We cannot stop them." Ellis looked up, her heart hammering. "I know who can." The pirates came like locusts. They swept down on undefended Federation colonies, black ships blotting out the suns. For generations, these raiders had lingered in the shadows, stealing scraps from the edges of civilization. But now, with the Federation paralyzed by fear of humanity, the scavengers struck boldly. On Valera's waterworld cities, towers of glass crumbled into the ocean. On Thornling Prime, forests burned, saplings screaming in the slow, telepathic voices of their people. The Crick hive mind faltered as raiders disrupted their networks, carving apart insectoid colonies that had never known fear until now. The Federation had forgotten war, the pirates had not. In the council chamber of Concordia, chaos reigned. Delegates wept openly, telepathic waves of despair flooding the chamber. Images of burning cities projected above them in real time, a nightmare none could wake from. Elder Driftkeeper floated in his tank, body trembling. "We are undone. Our peace has left us naked. They slaughter our young, and we can do nothing." Zale Lin's crystalline form dimmed with anguish. "There are no soldiers, no defenses, not in all the Federation." Ellis Chen stood at the center, fists clenched so hard her nails dug into her palms. She had begged them to prepare, begged them to understand. Now their paradise was burning. And the only ones who could save it were the very Deathworlders they feared. On the Resolute, Admiral Kate Sullivan watched the feeds with cold fury. "Pirates," she said, her voice a low growl, "feeding on the helpless." Captain Tony Martinez of the Lightning Strike snarled. "Figures, like hyenas, they see weakness and can't resist." Commander Lisa Park of the Thunder Bay leaned forward. "Orders, Admiral." Kate's eyes narrowed. "The Federation treated us like prisoners, now they beg for salvation. Question is, do we answer?" Silence, every captain weighed the same thought. Finally, Jake Morrison's voice broke through the comms. "We answer, because we're not like them. We fight because we must, but we don't abandon the innocent." Amy Foster's face hardened. "So we save the same people who tried to cage us." Jake nodded. "That's the difference between us and raiders, between us and tyrants. We fight for survival and for those who can't." Kate's eyes glinted like steel. "Then battle group plot course, target Valera. We'll show them what Deathworlders do when they choose mercy." Valera's oceans boiled with fire. Pirate skiffs rained molten plasma onto floating habitats, their jellyfish-like citizens scattering in panic. The Velter were gentle, psychic beings. Their minds could lift ships, but their hearts had no taste for killing. They floated helpless in the waves as the raiders tore through their cities. Then the humans arrived. The Resolute dropped from FTL like a hammer. The lightning strike darted through the raider formation, shredding hulls with precise bursts. The Thunder Bay decloaked behind a pirate carrier and cut it to ribbons with close-range torpedoes. The sky above Valera burned, but now with human fire. On the surface, Velter citizens looked up through trembling waves and saw something they had never imagined: warriors who fought not to conquer, but to protect. Jake Morrison stood at the front of a dropship, armored Marines behind him. The hatch opened, revealing smoke and chaos below. "Secure the civilians," Jake barked. "Sweep the raiders, no mercy for slavers." The Marines roared in unison, their boots slamming against the deck. They dropped into a floating city half-consumed by flames. Pirates scrambled in confusion as armored humans stormed the streets. Laser fire cut through smoke. Explosions ripped through raider tanks. Jake's pulse pounded, instincts razor-sharp. He had fought too many battles to count, but this one mattered more, not for territory, not for resources, for lives. He saw a group of Velter children huddled near a collapsing tower. Without thinking, he charged through the crossfire, hauling them into his arms as debris rained down. His armor groaned, but he didn't stop until they were safe. One of the jellyfish-like children brushed a tendril against his helmet, mind flooding with one simple word: gratitude. Jake's throat tightened. This was why he fought. This was what humanity had to show the galaxy. On the bridge of a pirate cruiser, the captain screamed as human Marines breached the hull. Sergeant Carl Davis led the charge, his squad moving with surgical precision. "Clear left, stack right." The pirates fired wildly, but humans fought like predators, every movement honed by centuries of conflict. Within minutes, the cruiser was theirs. Davis reported over comms, "Target secure, raiders routed." Admiral Sullivan's voice crackled back, "Good. Show the galaxy what happens when predators hunt predators." By dawn, the pirate fleet was in ruins. Wreckage smoldered on the ocean, the survivors fleeing into deep space. Valera was saved. The Velter floated in stunned silence, their translucent bodies glowing with emotions they barely understood. Relief, awe, and something deeper, respect. Ellis Chen arrived with the relief teams, her boots crunching on shattered glass. She watched humans hand out rations, patch wounds, and rebuild broken habitats with the same determination they had used in battle. To the Federation, humans were monsters, but here they were saviors. Zale Lin appeared beside Ellis, her crystalline body faintly glowing. She spoke quietly, almost ashamed. "We thought your people brought only fire, but fire also gives warmth." Ellis met her gaze. "Now you see, humanity isn't just death, we're survival, and sometimes survival means saving others." Zale's glow brightened faintly. Perhaps there is more to learn." News spread like wildfire. Across the Federation, colonies whispered of human ships appearing from the dark, not to conquer, but to defend. Pirates who had raided unchallenged for centuries were suddenly hunted by predators fiercer than themselves. On Thornling Prime, human soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder with slow, ancient trees, shielding saplings from flame. On Cricktheta, engineers helped rebuild hive structures faster than the collective could comprehend. Everywhere they went, Deathworlders brought both fire and mercy. The Federation was terrified and fascinated. For the first time in history, they began to ask not how do we survive the humans, but how do we survive without them. But not all welcomed humanity's help. In the council chamber, Ambassador Zale Lin spoke of gratitude and new possibilities, but others whispered darker thoughts. "If they save us now," buzzed a Crick delegate, "what will they demand later?" Elder Driftkeeper pulsed with unease. "Every act of protection is also a claim of power." Ancient Bark's voice was deep and weary. "The roots of dependence grow fast. Already our people look to humans for safety. Soon they will not look to us at all." The council trembled on the edge of fear and hope. And in the shadows, whispers grew. If humans could save them, humans could also rule them. On the Resolute, Jake Morrison stood at the viewport, watching Velara's glowing cities rebuild. Amy Foster joined him, helmet under her arm. "They'll never look at us the same way again," Amy said. Jake nodded. "Good, maybe they'll finally understand we're not monsters." Amy's eyes were hard. "Or maybe they'll just fear us more. People don't forget who broke their chains, even when you save them after." Jake said nothing. He couldn't shake the weight in his chest. Every act of mercy cast a longer shadow. And shadows had a way of hiding knives. That night, Ellis Chen received a secret transmission. The voice was human, distorted, coming from deep space. "Dr. Chen, this is President Frank Adams, Colonial Alliance. You've done well keeping the Federation talking, but mercy is only useful if it builds leverage. Remember, survival first, diplomacy second." Her stomach knotted. She had believed humanity's compassion could win peace, but to Earth's leaders, every rescue was another chess move. And if the Federation resisted, then mercy would end and war would return. She sat in silence, the twin suns of Velara rising outside her window. Ellis whispered to herself, "Please, don't let compassion turn into conquest." The galaxy whispered of humanity. On every world, stories spread like wildfire, how the Deathworlders had shattered the blockade, then turned their fury against the pirate scourge. On Velara, jellyfish children sang songs of the humans who had carried them through fire. On Thornling Prime, young saplings grew around human-built shelters, whispering gratitude into the soil. But not all whispers were kind, some were darker. For every tale of rescue, there was a fear. If humans can save us, they can rule us. If they can protect us, they can also chain us. The Federation had never known division. Now fault lines spread like cracks through glass. On Concordia, the Grand Council gathered in silence. The chamber glowed with pale light, shadows trembling across crystal walls. Ambassador Zale Lin, her form bright with renewed strength, addressed the assembly. "The humans fight with ferocity, yes, but they also protect with equal passion. We saw it on Velara, we saw it on Cricktheta, fire but also mercy. Perhaps they are not monsters but teachers." Elder Driftkeeper pulsed uneasily in his gravity field. "Teachers, or conquerors in disguise? Every act of protection deepens our dependence. Already our colonies call for more human patrols. Soon they will not call for us at all." Buzz of the Crick Collective buzzed with agitation. The hive is restless. Some of our minds wish for human alliance. Others cry out in fear. We cannot hold both thoughts at once. The hive fractures. Ancient Bark's slow voice echoed through the chamber. I have lived through millennia of seasons. I have seen storms nourish and destroy. Humanity is a storm. They may give us new life, or they may uproot us. The council shivered as if a cold wind had swept through the room. Dr. Ellis Chen sat in the gallery, heart pounding. She could feel the tide turning. Every rescue mission pulled the Federation closer to humanity, but also deeper into fear. After the council adjourned, Zale Lin approached her, crystalline form faintly glowing. Dr. Chen, she said softly, I wish to understand. You are human, yet you live among us. Tell me truthfully, do your people seek to rule us? Ellis's chest tightened. Some do, some don't. Humanity isn't one mind like the crick. We argue, we fight among ourselves. That's our nature. Zale tilted her head. And you? I want peace, Ellis whispered. But peace doesn't mean chains, it means partnership. If the Federation can accept that, humanity will too. Zale's glow brightened faintly, like dawn breaking through clouds. Then I will stand with you. Ellis exhaled, hope flickering, fragile but alive. Far away, in the dark between stars, Admiral Kate Sullivan convened her captains aboard the Resolute. The Federation is splintering, she said flatly. Some want us gone, some want us closer. That division is our weapon and our danger. Captain Tony Martinez leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. So we're saviors and devils at the same time. Not new, Admiral. We've been both since Earth learned to walk upright. Commander Lisa Park of the Thunder Bay narrowed her eyes. What's the plan? Do we keep saving them until they love us or scare them into obedience? Jake Morrison sat quietly, arms folded. His voice, when it came, was low but steady. Neither. We show them who we are, strength, yes, but also restraint, mercy. If they still fear us after that, then maybe peace was never possible. Kate studied him for a long moment. You really believe mercy is enough? Jake's eyes were tired. I have to. The alternative is conquest, and I've buried too many bodies to want that. The room fell silent. No one argued, but no one agreed either. Meanwhile, in the shadows of Concordia, a different meeting unfolded. Ambassador Peaceful Mind of the Zephyrians sat in secret council, with representatives from species most shaken by humanity's rise. They are not allies, Peaceful Mind projected, his crystalline form glowing harshly. They are predators. They brought war back to the galaxy. Already they shape us with fear. If we do nothing, they will rule us. A Velter elder pulsed in distress. But they saved Velara. Without them, we would be ash. Exactly, Peaceful Mind replied. They choose when to save and when to destroy. That is not partnership, that is power. The Crick delegate hissed, antennae trembling. What do you suggest? Peaceful Mind's glow dimmed coldly. We must strike first, before humanity decides the galaxy belongs to them. In the silence that followed, fear coiled into something darker, something sharp, something willing to kill. Ellis Chen felt the change before she saw it. On the streets of Concordia, whispers grew louder. Alien eyes that once watched her with awe now flickered with suspicion. She felt the ripples in telepathic thought, distrust, resentment, fear. Walking back to her quarters one night, she felt a shadow fall across her. A group of Crick drones blocked her path, their antennae twitching. You carry the Deathworld within you, one buzzed. Do you serve peace or conquest? Ellis raised her hands. I serve survival for everyone, human and Federation alike. The drones tilted their heads, mandibles clicking. Then prove it. Before she could answer, they vanished into the crowd, but their words stayed like a thorn in her chest. She wasn't sure if she could prove it, not anymore. On the Iron Will, Amy Foster stormed into Jake's quarters, fury in her eyes. Sir, intel reports chatter. Some Federation factions are talking preemptive strikes against us. Jake's brow furrowed. Strikes with what? They don't even have weapons. Amy slammed her fist against the bulkhead. That's what scares me. They'll find a way. Maybe build weapons, maybe twist allies, maybe sabotage us from inside. Fear makes people do stupid things. Jake leaned back, exhaling slowly. So the Federation's breaking apart, and we're in the middle of it. Amy's eyes burned. We can't wait to get stabbed in the back. We hit first. Jake's voice was hard. No, not unless we have no choice. We won't be the monsters they already think we are. Amy's fists clenched. She didn't argue. but the fire in her eyes said she didn't agree. On Thornling Prime, Ancient Bark bent his mind inward, consulting with trees so old their roots reached into forgotten centuries. The elders whispered slowly, their thoughts like wind in hollow wood. "The Deathworlders bring storm," one intoned. "Storms break, storms nourish," said another. "Choice lies not in storm, but in how roots bend." Ancient Bark opened his eyes, heavy with sorrow. The Federation was bending, but would it bend toward growth or toward collapse? Back on Concordia, Ellis Chen received another secret transmission from Earth. President Frank Adams's voice crackled through the static. "Dr. Chen, your reports confirm division in the Federation. Good. Division means leverage, push them toward dependence. Every world that calls us for help is another piece in our hand." Ellis felt sick, and if they resist... The president's voice hardened. "Then we remind them what happens when they mistake mercy for weakness. Humanity didn't claw its way out of Earth's crucible to bow before crystal diplomats and talking trees." The transmission ended, leaving Ellis trembling. She had believed in humanity's compassion, but her leaders saw only strategy. She whispered into the silence, "If compassion becomes conquest, what's left of us?" The next day, Federation news feeds exploded. A Zephyrian supply convoy, unarmed, peaceful, carrying food and medicine, had been destroyed in deep space. The attackers were unknown. But rumors spread instantly. Humans did it. In the council chamber, Peaceful Mind thundered. "Proof! The Deathworlders have struck again. First they break our blockade, then they steal our gratitude, now they slaughter the helpless." Zale Lin glowed fiercely. "No, humanity would not attack a supply convoy. I have seen their mercy. This is a lie." But her voice was drowned out by fear. The chamber rippled with rage, with sorrow, with hatred. Ellis Chen sat frozen. She knew the truth. Humans hadn't done this, but someone wanted it to look that way. And whoever they were, they had just lit the fuse of war. The convoy's destruction spread through the galaxy like a plague of whispers. Images of shattered Zephyrian crystal hulls floated across every channel. Food crates and medical supplies tumbled endlessly in the void, silent testimony to slaughter. And above every replay, the same accusation burned. Humans did this. On Concordia, the council chamber erupted. Ambassador Peaceful Mind's glow blazed white-hot. "This is the proof. The Deathworlders are not saviors, they are predators. They feed on our fear, and now they have murdered the helpless." Elder Driftkeeper pulsed in anguish. "If they destroy convoys, we starve. If they destroy medicine, we die." Buzz of the Crick Collective buzzed in fury. The hive is burning with rage. Individual Crick lash out in panic. Violence spreads. Zale Lin tried to speak, her crystalline body glowing bright with desperation. "We cannot be certain. The humans deny it." "They lie," Peaceful Mind thundered, his voice like glass shattering. "Every act of mercy was bait. Now the trap closes." The chamber rippled with fear and fury, telepathic waves crashing like a storm. For the first time, Ellis Chen felt true hatred in the room, not confusion, not fear, but hatred aimed at humanity. And it terrified her. Later, in a dim corridor outside the chamber, Zale Lin found Ellis. "They do not listen," Zale whispered, her glow trembling. "Their minds are closed. They see only human blood on the convoy's hulls." Ellis's fists clenched. Because someone wanted them to, someone staged this. Zale tilted her head. "Who?" Ellis's voice dropped to a whisper. "I don't know, but if we don't find out, the galaxy will burn." Zale's glow brightened faintly. "Then we must search together." Ellis met her gaze, heart hammering. She wasn't sure she trusted any alien, but Zale had stood by her when others screamed for war. And right now, she needed an ally. "Together," Ellis said. On the iron will, Amy Foster slammed her fist onto the console. "This is garbage," she shouted. "We didn't hit that convoy. Every ship in Battle Group 7 was accounted for. This is a setup." Jake Morrison's jaw was clenched so tight it ached. "Doesn't matter. The Federation believes it, and belief kills just as fast as bullets." Admiral Kate Sullivan's voice crackled over comms from the Resolute. "Federation fleets are mobilizing. I don't know what they think they're going to do with their science barges and crystal cruisers, but they're moving, and fear makes fools dangerous." Jake exhaled slowly. "If this goes wrong, it'll be the war we tried to stop." Amy's dark eyes burned. Then maybe we don't stop it, maybe we finish it. Jake gave her a sharp look. No, not until I know who really pulled that trigger. Amy's lips pressed into a hard line. She didn't argue, but her silence was louder than words. Ellis and Zale worked through the night in the Concordia archives. Data streams filled the air, glowing symbols cascading around them. Convoy route, telemetry, distress signals, Ellis muttered. Something doesn't add up. Zale's telepathic voice brushed her thoughts, gentle but focused. The distress signal was cut. No natural cause, someone silenced them. Ellis's heart jumped. Then someone jammed them before the attack. They dug deeper. Ship signatures, energy traces, residue from the weapon's fire. Ellis froze when she saw it. The energy readings weren't human. They were close, deliberately close, but the modulation pattern was wrong. Humans used coil-based kinetics and plasma bursts. These readings were artificial, faked, like someone had wanted them mistaken for human fire. Zale, Ellis whispered, it wasn't us, it was planted. Zale's glow dimmed with horror. Then someone seeks to frame you, but who? Before Ellis could answer, the door behind them hissed open. A squad of Federation guards filled the doorway, weapons raised. Dr. Chen, the commander barked, you are under arrest for collaboration with the attackers. Zale's glow flared. No, she speaks truth. Silence, the guard snapped. The council has decided humanity is guilty, and you Chen are their agent. Ellis's stomach dropped. She and Zale exchanged a glance. Then she bolted. The chase ripped through Concordia's glass corridors. Ellis sprinted, lungs burning, the sound of armored boots echoing behind her. Zale glided alongside her, crystalline body flashing as she projected confusion into the guards' minds, buying them seconds. Left, Ellis gasped, diving through a narrow passage. They burst into the open night of Concordia's upper platforms, the twin suns glowing low on the horizon. Stop, a guard shouted. Plasma fire sizzled past Ellis's shoulder. She ducked behind a pillar, heart pounding. They'll kill us before we prove anything. Zale's glow flickered. Then we must reach your people. Only humans can expose this. Ellis nodded, chest heaving. The iron will. If I can get aboard, Jake will listen. The guards closed in. Zale reached out, touching Ellis's arm. Run, I will hold them. Ellis shook her head fiercely. No, you'll be. Go, Zale whispered. The truth must survive. Before Ellis could protest, Zale stepped into the open, her body blazing with light. The guards staggered, blinded by the telepathic flare. Ellis ran. On the iron will, alarms blared as Federation ships closed in. Multiple contacts, Amy reported grimly. They're trying to box us in. No weapons charged yet, but it's only a matter of time. Jake rubbed his temple. They don't want us to fight, they want us cornered, then they'll strike and call it justice. A comms officer turned suddenly. Captain, incoming signal, it's Dr. Chen. Jake's head snapped up. Patch it through. Ellis's face appeared on the screen, sweat streaking her brow, eyes burning with urgency. Jake, it wasn't us. The convoy attack, it was staged. The energy patterns don't match. Someone framed us. Amy folded her arms. Convenient story. Jake ignored her. Who? Ellis's voice shook. I don't know, but someone inside the Federation wants this war, and if we don't prove it, they'll have it. Jake's jaw tightened. He had suspected as much, but hearing it confirmed made his blood run cold. All right, Doc, he said. Get aboard, we'll find the truth before the galaxy burns. But in the council chamber, Peaceful Mind already had what he wanted. He stood before the assembly, his glow fierce, his voice booming. The Deathworlders are liars. Even now they prepare their fleets. If we wait, we die. If we hesitate, we perish. The only path left is war. The chamber erupted with cries of rage and fear. Telepathic waves of fury swept across the delegates. Zale Lin, dim and exhausted from her sacrifice, tried to speak. We must wait. But no one listened. The council voted. The Federation would raise an army. For the first time in 3,000 years, the galaxy would prepare for war. On the iron will, Ellis slumped into a chair, exhausted. Jake stood beside her, his face grim. So it's true, he said quietly. They're mobilizing. Ellis nodded weakly. Peaceful Mind has them in his grip. He'll push until there's no turning back. Amy's voice was sharp. Then we hit first, break them before they build anything that can touch us. Jake shook his head. No, we find proof. We expose whoever framed us. If we can rip the mask off, maybe we stop this madness. Amy's eyes narrowed. And if we can't? Jake met her gaze, unflinching. Then we do what humans have always done. We fight, and we survive. In the shadows of Concordia, Peaceful Mind retreated to his private chamber. His glow dimmed, then flickered strangely. A voice whispered through the dark, "Not Zephyrian, not Federation." "Excellent," it hissed. "The trap is sprung. Soon they will destroy each other, and when they do, the galaxy will belong to us." Peaceful Mind bowed his crystalline head. "As agreed, humanity takes the blame, the Federation takes the wounds, and your people take the prize." The shadows shifted, revealing the outline of ships not human, not Federation. Unknown, waiting. The true enemy had been hiding all along. The galaxy burned with fear. Federation fleets scrambled to build weapons they hadn't needed in millennia. Human battle groups gathered at colony edges, engines hot, weapons primed. Every signal, every rumor, every whisper was one spark away from igniting total war. And in the shadows, the real enemy watched, waiting. Aboard the Iron Will, Ellis Chen slammed her palms against the console. "We can't let this happen. If the Federation and humanity clash, the unknown faction wins. They want us blind, bleeding, too weak to resist." Jake Morrison stood with arms folded, jaw tight. "And if we just sit on our hands, the Federation attacks first. My job is to keep my crew alive, not play diplomat." Amy Foster's voice was sharp, almost a snarl. "With respect, sir, we've already proven we can break their fleets. One decisive strike and the Federation collapses. Problem solved." Ellis turned on her, fury in her eyes. "That's not a solution, that's genocide. You'd kill billions just to prove you're stronger." Amy didn't flinch. "Billions die either way, better them than us." Jake's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Enough, both of you." He turned to Ellis. "You think you can prove this frame job? Then you better do it fast, because if you can't, Amy's option may be the only one left." Ellis swallowed hard, the weight of the galaxy pressed on her shoulders. "Then we go to the Council with proof, and we show them who their real enemy is." On Concordia, Ambassador Zale Lynn flickered weakly in a medical chamber. She had survived her stand against the guards, but her crystalline body dimmed with exhaustion. When Ellis entered, Zale's glow brightened faintly. "You live, good." Ellis knelt beside her. "Zale, I need you. I found traces, weapon signatures that don't match humanity. Someone's playing us. If I can present this to the Council, we stop the war." Zale's glow pulsed with determination. "Then you will not go alone. I will stand with you. They may not believe a human, but a Zephyrian voice carries weight." Ellis squeezed her hand. "Then let's save the galaxy." The Council chamber was chaos. Delegates screamed, minds clashing in a storm of fear and rage. For the first time in 3,000 years, harmony had shattered. Peaceful Mind stood at the center, his glow blazing. "The Deathworlders are preparing their fleets. They will strike soon. We must destroy them before they destroy us." Ellis and Zale burst through the doors. "Stop!" Ellis's voice rang out, echoing across the hall. "You've been lied to." The chamber fell into stunned silence. Hundreds of alien eyes turned to the human scientist and the dim but resolute Zephyrian ambassador. Zale's glow pulsed. "The convoy attack was not human. The evidence shows false signatures. Someone staged this." Ellis projected the data into the chamber. Weapon modulations, falsified energy trails, intercepted transmissions. The holograms swirled above them, damning in their clarity. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Confusion, disbelief. Peaceful Mind's glow flared violently. "Lies, human lies." Ellis pointed directly at him. "No, it was you. You pushed for war before the wreckage was cold. You silenced evidence, and you had help." The chamber erupted in shock. Peaceful Mind's glow flickered erratically. You cannot." And then the shadows shifted. The ceiling split open with fire. Dark ships descended, angular and cruel, bristling with weapons unlike anything the Federation had built. The unknown faction had come out of hiding. Panic flooded the chamber. Delegates screamed as explosions rocked Concordia's surface. Ellis stared in horror. "They're here." Zale's glow dimmed with dread. The true enemy. Above the planet, the Iron Will and the Resolute locked onto the incoming fleet. Unknown contacts, Amy shouted. Energy signatures don't match Federation or human design. They're the ones who staged the convoy attack. Jake's voice was iron. Then it's time to show the galaxy what Deathworlders are really for. Admiral Sullivan's voice cut in. All ships form on me. We fight here, we fight now. The battle for Concordia exploded into chaos. Federation vessels built for exploration scattered in panic. Dark warships sliced through their ranks, cutting them down like paper. Then the humans struck. The lightning strike darted between enemy cruisers, unleashing volleys that turned the sky into fire. The Thunder Bay decloaked behind an enemy flagship, gutting it with precision torpedoes. The Iron Will plunged straight into the thick of it, guns blazing, shields flaring against the onslaught. For the first time, Federation eyes saw humanity not as conquerors or monsters, but as warriors standing between them and extinction. Inside the council chamber, chaos reigned as enemy dropships breached the roof. Armored figures poured in, weapons blazing. Ellis grabbed a fallen guard's pistol, heart hammering. She wasn't a soldier, but she wasn't helpless either. She fired, dropping one of the invaders. Zale Lynn stood tall, her crystalline body blazing like a sun. She projected waves of defiance into the attackers' minds, disorienting them long enough for Ellis and the guards to fight back. Peaceful Mind tried to flee, but one of the armored invaders seized him, dragging him into the shadows. Ellis shouted after him, "Traitor!" His glow flickered once, then vanished into the dark. Above, the battle raged. Human ships fought with brutal precision, turning what should have been a massacre into a standstill. But they were outnumbered, outgunned, and the Federation vessels were too weak to do more than retreat. Jake's voice barked through the comms. If we hold the line, they survive. If we break, they all burn. Hold. Amy gritted her teeth, fingers flying over controls. Shields failing, but we're still in the fight. Explosions rocked the Iron Will. The bridge filled with smoke, alarms screaming. Jake wiped blood from his forehead and growled. Not today, not humanity, not while I breathe. Back in the council chamber, Ellis and Zale fought side by side, pushing the invaders back. Delegates cowered, unused to violence, their minds paralyzed with terror. Ellis shouted over the chaos. Look, they're not human. They're the ones who want this war. Humans aren't your enemy, they're your shield. Zale's glow blazed bright, amplifying her words into the minds of every delegate. See the truth, feel it. Humanity does not stand against us. Humanity stands for us. Slowly, like dawn breaking, the council's fear shifted. Not gone, but changed. For the first time, they believed. In orbit, Admiral Sullivan unleashed the final blow. Battle group converge, target their command ship, break them. Human vessels dove as one, their weapons tearing through the massive enemy flagship. Explosions ripped it apart, the shockwaves scattering the remaining fleet. The invaders broke, retreating into the void. The battle was won. But the war was just beginning. Hours later, the council chamber lay in ruins, smoke still drifting from shattered walls. Delegates trembled, wounded but alive. Ellis stood at the center, pistol still in her hand, blood streaking her face. Zale Lynn stood beside her, dim but unbroken. Jake Morrison entered, armor scorched, eyes tired but steady. Amy followed, rifle slung, scanning for threats. Ellis raised her voice. You saw it. Humanity didn't bring this war, but humanity ended the battle. If we stand apart, we fall. If we stand together, we survive. Silence, then slowly, delegates began to nod. Ancient Bark spoke, his voice deep and weary. The storm came, and the storm shielded us. Perhaps the Deathworlders are not here to destroy, but to teach us how to endure. Zale's glow pulsed with quiet hope. Together. Ellis exhaled. For the first time, the galaxy had a chance. That night, Ellis stood with Jake on Concordia's shattered balcony, stars glowing above them. You saved them, she said quietly. Jake shook his head. We just did what we always do, survive. Ellis looked at him. No, more than that, you showed them humanity's strength is compassion as much as fire. Jake gave a tired smile. Let's hope they remember that tomorrow. Ellis gazed at the stars, a chill settling in her chest. Because whoever was behind Peaceful Mind, they're still out there, waiting. Jake's eyes hardened. Then let them come. The galaxy knows now. Deathworlders don't bow, we fight, and we protect. The stars burned bright above them. silent witnesses to a new age. The age of peace was over. The age of survival had begun.